about it that we're kind of starting to make that transition. One thing over the past few weeks of Impact is if a man gets in my way, I've not been afraid to knock them out, so tonight's going to be no different. Same with Joey Ryan. My main focus has been on Gail, but I'm really excited about this transition that we're making with intergender wrestling, so I think tonight's going to be a cool thing.
With the pedigree you have, how much of a higher standard do you hold yourself to?
I have very high expectations out of myself. I have a huge family name to live up to, a huge legacy to live up to. I feel the pressure of that every day of my life. But I feel like it's a blessing and a curse a little bit. I feel like since I am a third generation wrestler, I do have to hold myself, and there are a lot of people that expect certain things out of me. But that's one thing, I'm an athlete, and I'm a top athlete. I train 7 days a week. I'm mentally and physically prepared for any situation that I may be thrown in, and that's what puts me in the upper echelon compared to other knockouts.
So what made your thoughts about the press conference today and what you're hoping to do with them and how it's typed?
Oh yeah, I remember 5 years ago being in my hotel in New York City, and I had the view of Madison Square Garden, and I had a video where I said I'm going to wrestle there one day, and never did I think that it would actually happen, like realistically. So it still kind of feels a little crazy to me, but just standing in the Garden today, there's this aura about that building that is just second to none. But one thing that I touched on at the press conference was Taya Valkyrie is the Impact Knockouts champion right now, but she wouldn't be if it wasn't because of Gail Kim. Taya's never beaten me in a fair fight one-on-one. Taya's always needed a stipulation or a special guest referee or something that puts the odds in her favor. Because I am a top athlete and because I am one of the best, if not the best professional wrestler in Impact Wrestling, I feel like they have stacked the odds against me a little bit in Taya's favor. So maybe Madison Square Garden is the place that I take that title back. Who knows? One thing about WoW is, and Impact is, they're both different brands, but collectively, nothing about Tessa Blanchard changes. I'm the same Tessa Blanchard there as I am at WoW or at Impact. I'm very true to myself no matter where I go. One thing about WoW that I love is we're taking women who come from all different walks of life. We have girls from jiu-jitsu and MMA backgrounds, we have mothers, we have students, we have people from just everyday life who have found this love for professional wrestling, and they're finding this passion that we all share. And I live in Long Beach now. I'm training those girls 5 days a week, and when I'm not on the road, obviously. But to watch them grow and from scratch is just a really, really cool thing for me. It's something that a lot of people don't expect. Some people think like, oh, they're just actresses, or they're not professional wrestlers, they can't do it. But no, that just shows how little-minded or closed-minded people are, because they can do it. To always stay hungry. My stepdad told me one day, probably about 5 years ago, when I was just starting my training with George South in Charlotte, North Carolina, to go out there and become undeniable. And that's something that's always stuck with me over the years, and I feel like I've done that. I've traveled all over the world, all different continents. I've held championship titles in multiple countries. I'm 23 years old, and I was the first ever women's match televised in China. I've been Impact Knockouts champion. I've held titles in Australia, in Mexico, in the UK. It's a cool thing to kind of like look back and just kind of see what's all brought me to this day. I'm very blessed, very grateful.
What was the first match you watched that your dad wrestled?
Ooh, my first match, live or just ever? I have watched him wrestle live. I went to a show in Lenore, North Carolina when I was a little girl, and I remember my dad was bleeding in that match, and I was just so scared. I was just crying, and I tried to run up to the ring, and they wouldn't let me. But my favorite match of my dad's is against my stepdad at Starrcade 85, his I Quit match. And it's something that I always try to, everything about that match is what I want my wrestling to be. It's just brutal, realistic, and they're just killing each other. The intensity is second to none. Oh, definitely. I have high respect for Gail because she's one of the best. Without a doubt, she's one of the best. When women's wrestling was fighting for it to be what it is today, Gail was trying to make it happen before it happened. But that's where I've kind of been thinking the past few weeks is I think that Gail knows that she was one of the best and that she's at the top of Impact. She's a Hall of Famer, she's a legend, and that's why she's trying to stop me, because she sees what's coming and she sees what everybody else sees, is that I'm gonna surpass her. And so she's been holding me back because I will surpass her. And at Rebellion, she's gonna see that.
Last question.
I do believe so. They've given me that platform where I've gone places where they've told me what I need to do, what I need to say, who I need to be, what moves I need to perform. And at Impact, I get to just be me. I have creative control to be me, to do what I want, and to show people, screw you, this is what Tessa Blanchard's about. And if you don't like it, tough shit.